I think we're live.
I think we are. Oh no.
Oh,
People
oh no! Here we are doing this thing that
might
we do again.
listen to us now. Should we stop?
What?
Should we stop?
Yes, we
Yeah.
need to stop doing this altogether. I don't know why we put ourselves through this disaster, this mess. By the way, I did have this to wear tonight.
Oh right, yeah. Mm-hmm.
But it won't
fit.
it won't fit over my my earphones.
I can add my silly antennae, but nobody will see them because they will be above the screen. So I would have to I can Kilroy it or something. There you go.
But anyway, yeah. So this was for tonight.
Yeah.
Giant top hat looked really cool. And then I realized that I wear these big damn things.
And you also don't we don't have portrait view.
Yeah.
So we would just
I would be way out of screen.
We had poor forethought in our New Year's
well, it's not like we planned this.
Well, we planned a little bit, but
we planned it by saying we were going to do it.
Yeah, well, and we picked some things for
it. That is true. Well, for everybody who's in here currently, I'd like to say welcome to our 2021 year in review. As we say goodbye to 2021, and welcome in 2022, which is going to be completely different and no worries about COVID or restrictions or... Okay, so 2022 is pretty much just going to be 2021.
It's season 3. It's season 3 of 2020.
Yeah, pandemic season 3. Hopefully the final season.
Hopefully.
We can hope.
And I don't really want a season finale for this. I just want it to go away quietly, like it was canceled, and nobody wanted to know how it ended.
Oh, you want it to be Firefly?
Yeah.
No, wait, that's not true. Can't say that because Firefly got a movie.
It did, but not initially.
And I don't really want Pandemic the movie to come out after 3 seasons of Pandemic the show.
I guess I want to Fox it. Is what I want to do.
Yes, the Fox Network is very good at just deciding.
No,
we're done with this one.
No, see you later.
Take it off there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we got a bunch. We did an entire. Did you know? We were talking about this earlier, but I wanted everybody else that's listening to know.
Yeah.
Did you know that 2021, there was months before September?
Yes, there were months before September. Happy New Year, Allison and Michelle. And hey, what's with the mocking of the banks?
Who's mocking the banks?
Apparently, 2021 was 2020 with banks.
Oh, right. You know, and a mullet.
Yeah, maybe it's just trying to disguise itself. Is the point? I hope so because I like the banks. I want to keep it.
But yeah, I was going back through all of our old episodes as we were trying to get ready for what we were doing here tonight and blah blah blah. And I realized that we did a bunch of episodes.
We did things
long before I remembered doing those episodes.
Yes,
because literally, come September was when live music kind of started getting back up. Movies started hitting theaters and such again, and we kind of had lives again. And that was pretty much when the year started in my brain.
Kind of felt like it started then again.
But then I looked back and I was like, holy crap. We had months upon months of old episodes that I went back and looked through. And we had many, many interviews during our Merry Month of Music, which I had to, and I, in my brain, had thought that was the previous year. And then I was like, no, that was 2021. My God, it's been a while. So somehow I lost, I'm used to losing years of my life.
Yes.
Memory wise. But I lost half a year this year. And
well, it's not that you lost it. It's kind of, it's a little, you kind of lost a year and a half there because you went back to...
I know, but I don't even remember it existing. I don't remember what happened in January, February, March, April on to August, September.
Was it anything important? I mean, I moved to
August. And I mean, our podcasts themselves were they were fun, but they were a little hard to do because nothing was happening.
There was less stuff going on.
Less stuff coming out, less stuff to talk about. So And then once September hit, it was like, oh, we were taking in live shows. We were going back to see movies. We had stuff to talk about,
But
blah, blah, blah.
but we did get a chance to spend some really great time with bands, and that
We
was
did.
and maybe we wouldn't have been doing that hadn't been we well, I think we would have done it anyway. But we had more time available to spend some time with these folks that we got to meet through the podcast and learn a lot more about the indie scene here in Ottawa and in Gatineau and Montreal and all of that kind of stuff. And I'm really grateful that we got a chance to do that.
Yeah,
And
and I'm great that we did that like way back in, I think it was April or May,
May.
and then continue to keep in touch with. And like, it's been a full year that we've known and talked to and whatever, all these bands,
Mm,
which we will, of course, mention in further detail in a bit, and became friends with numerous ones of them and continue to talk to them. And again, maybe that was part of it because it feels like we've been talking to these bands and enjoying their company and our friendship with them for so long.
it does.
This is why I thought it was like a year or so
Yeah,
ago.
yeah. Yeah, yeah.
It's only been like 9 months since we met some of these guys, and now we're guys and girls. And because of social media and because of the podcast and because of other reasons, we've like fleshed out like full friendships and everything with some of these bands.
Yeah, I know.
And it's been amazing. That was one of the highlights of
Definitely.
2021 was meeting a bunch of these fantastic folk
Mhm.
from the movie scene and the music scene and elsewhere. We've talked to a couple of other good people. I mean, like Danielle Allard, who is part of the music scene, but is now huge into the live streaming and
Yes.
Twitch scene.
Yes.
And we talked to her about all of that. So it's nice that she's kind of like blended two of her kind of loves, her music and her performing, into a way of doing it during pandemic times.
Yeah.
Speaking of Twitch, I guess we can tell everybody that that is possibly our
It's our angle for next year.
our new angle for 2022. We will still be recording the audio from all of our Twitch streams to put them on our podcast.
Mhm.
So you'll still be able to listen to them on whatever you listen to them on, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Google Play.
Some bits may make a little less sense though if we're talking about weird little emoji icons and things like that.
Yeah, but I've listened to a lot of podcasts that are live streams
Mhm.
or like the audio stolen from video, and you don't really lose too much of it.
It'd be fun.
Like I listen to Hollywood Babylon all the time, and they do it live in front of a studio audience, and they show videos and stuff on the screen behind them, and you don't really lose any of that because you still get the gist. I mean, it's still just going to be us talking, but once in a while, there's going to be a picture on the screen that
Yeah.
if you're listening to the audio, you can't see, but it's not like it's going to take away from anything.
Right.
So that'll be our new venture in 2022.
Yeah, there'll definitely be some more of that. So if you want to interact with our faces as well as listen to us, then you can. And trust me, we make a lot of ridiculous faces. It's probably worth it.
Now, one thing we did for today's live stream,
Mhm.
which we're very excited about, and we will be giving these out throughout the tenure of however long we talk tonight, is we have made up our golden flying fuck awards.
Yes.
And we made up some little envelopes. So these are
Look
our
at this.
2021 Golden Flying Fuck Year in Review Awards.
Tyler's awesome creativity going on here.
So we're going to do it like the Oscars, where we open the envelope and there'll be like a winner inside, which I'm not going to show you right now because we haven't got there yet. But exciting things coming for our awards for this year. Actually,
I just had to open an open bottle of wine. Maybe I shouldn't have any more.
you just had to open an open bottle of wine.
No, I just tried to open an open bottle of wine. I've had
Okay. Seeing as we just discussed a little bit of what we are doing in 2022.
Anybody else know what to do?
Anybody else? Anybody have any resolutions? Did you make a resolution?
Me?
Yep.
I want to finish my goddamn PhD. That seems, but this has been like a perpetual thing that keeps getting delayed by life and the universe. So, again, that is going to be my major push for this year. What I've noticed from a lot of people, sort of my friend group, is, the pandemic has definitely taken a huge toll on everyone, right? And a lot of people are now really are sort of like, okay, this has sucked for years and I need to get my shit together again. And so they're sort of kind of regrouping and trying to kind of get some of their more healthier habits back into place and all of these kinds of things with exercise and diet. It's the new year. It's what people do in the new year. They sort of
Oh,
like
that's see.
improve.
I was going to bring up mine, which is of course the cliched getting healthier,
Hmm.
but of course mine is due to my diabetes,
Hmm.
which is now affecting other facets of the fact that I'm possibly going blind because of it and other things. So I am going full on uh, diet and workout regime to try and get myself into better health and maybe slow down some of the shit that's crept in over the
No,
last little while when I wasn't really taking care of myself because I tend to do that.
because like
These things happen.
no.
Yeah, I go like strong for a little while and I'm like on it and I'm keeping everything good. And then because I'm keeping everything good and
Yeah, but then you
I
also
feel good about myself, then you plateau, you get kind of overconfident and slash lazy at the same time.
mm,
And then you don't notice that you've kind of gone back downhill a little bit until you go to the eye doctor and he's like, yeah, you need to do something or you're going to have eye surgery. And I'm like, oh, and he's like, still diabetic? And I'm like, heavily. He's like, yeah, you should probably get that in check. I'm like, okay. So
no,
that's my 2022 will be Twitch and uh, um, trying to give
and maybe
myself a few extra years at the end, I guess.
and maybe not crack your ribs this year.
Oh, that's fine. I do that once a year at least.
No, this is a problem. Don't. This is not a yearly habit one should partake
It could be.
in. There's no benefit. None. Zip.
Okay, so if I look in here, okay, we'll skip this one for now because I'm not
Apparently,
sure if
you're
he's.
not the only person that is looking to, do some healthier eating and exercising because we've got Allison has also sort of been like, yeah, that's me too.
Well, me and Allison have talked about this because we are friends outside of the podcast, and we are going to be each other's coach of sorts.
Nice.
Our pep talks and our "you can do it." I did 10,000 steps today. How many did you do? I did 4. Well, you better catch up, dummy.
Nice.
So yeah, we're gonna be each other's the backing. Who was I looking for?
I don't know. Who were you looking for? You were going to do a thing.
Yeah, I know. Rohan. Are you in here? If you are,
Say hi.
say hi in the comments so I know you're here. Wait for Rohan to click in. If he's not here, I'll move on. I'll just give him a couple of seconds to see if he's jumped in.
Hello,
There
Rohan.
he is.
You're here.
Well, that's good because I was talking to Rohan earlier today, and he mentioned, I don't know if he has time to actually jump in. We can skip that if you want to comment and kind of tell us what you told me earlier when we were messaging back and forth. But he has a good 2022 coming up, as he has mentioned that he's got a couple of EPs. Nothing, no dates, no anything. Like I'm hoping I'm not spoiling anything, but he did say that he had some exciting news coming up in 2022.
Very cool.
And just a young pup, so talented from when we talked to him way back when to, of course, we follow him on all of his social medias, and he's been putting out some fantastic clips of him just absolutely shredding and shit like that. So,
and many of our very, our experienced band friends now are like, "Oh, Rohan."
Oh yeah, we've talked to like other of our band friends and stuff, and they're all on the Resist the Throne bandwagon. And that is why our first Golden Flying Fuck Award is going to Rohan, and this award is our one to watch award. So our one to watch award for 2022 is going to be Resist the Throne.
So follow them
as if anybody hasn't checked out Resist the Throne or followed them or seen what they are up to, this is just a bunch of talent in such a young person. So there is absolutely like it's going up.
Yeah.
I mean, with a couple of more like I don't know what to say. He's already a huge talent, and he's just got so much time and potential in front of him that we can see 2022 and the future just yeah, no pressure. Like, do your own thing. We're just saying that uh, out of everybody that we've talked to throughout this year, all the bands and everything, we'd just like to say that Resist the Throne is going to have a stellar 2022 and further.
And we want to point people into his direction so that they follow him on his medias. So when things come out, they know and can share it with their friends too. You know, that kind of
Yeah,
stuff.
so everybody, as she just said, check out Resist the Throne. Follow him on the socials. See what talent that this guy and this band and everything brings. And he'll keep you updated on everything that's going on. So thank you, Rohan. Also, a note on Rohan was he was our first interview of our
Awesome.
our Merry Month of Music back in the early 2021, and it was amazing to have him on. And that's where we all got started. And he was basically our guinea pig on the whole interviewing of the
so much fun.
good times.
Yeah, it didn't scar us for life. We thought, hey, that was good. We'll do that again. So thanks.
So that was our one award for looking forward into 2022.
Yes.
Everybody keep your eye on Resist the Throne.
Mm-hmm. I mean, most of the rest of our awards are kind of a look back.
A look back, as this is a 2021 year in review.
Yeah.
But we wanted to give some notice of.
We have to live in the future as well as the past. Cannot spend all of our time back there.
But now we can go to the past.
We can.
And we can give it another award.
Okay. What are we going to start?
We're going to start. Let me click over onto our other thing here. We're going to start with our pop culture person of the year.
Oh, do we want? Okay. You want to give that one out now? Okay.
Or did we want to start somewhere else?
I don't know.
I was going to save all of our more personal ones for the end.
Sure.
And so we can either start with this, or we can start with our best and worst of movies and TV. Okay. Then I'll just skip these two. All right. I'll put these aside. And we will start with
big things.
How about best performance of the year?
Yeah.
Does anybody, as this is one of the reasons why we're going to segue this way,
Mm-hmm.
in the comments, if anybody has anything that they watched, took in, whatever, of 2021, whether it being a show, a movie, a special, something like Bo Burnham's Inside, or basically anything. I thought about him after we had talked and we had narrowed down our list. I'm like, oh, because when I was writing these out, I wrote special.
Right. Yes.
And I realized that we didn't really cover many specials.
No.
And there was a ton out there. But anyway, if anybody wants to jump in, because we gave our award. Now I got to go back over to the banners here. What am I giving away here? Best performance.
Mm-hmm.
So our 2021 year in review for best performance of 2021 goes to Dev Patel for The Green Knight.
Yeah, that one was set. Now, sadly, Tyler didn't see that one. This one was me. I was able to convince him that he deserved it, and it really is. The movie is amazing because of him. And all of the ability of him to convey the most profound emotions with like the tiniest expression. It was beautifully done, and I think he was absolutely fantastic. And I can't. When they announced that he was in the role, I was like, okay, that's going to be an interesting fit. And he did an absolutely glorious job and just made the whole damn thing. And, went from being that guy to that guy. So I will be paying attention to him on a different level. Not just because he's cute, but also because he's talented. So he's not just like the funny guy. So. Anyway.
And we gave an honorable mention on this. Yeah. According to our thing, to Kate Winslet for Mayor of Eastwood.
Mayor of Easttown.
Easttown, sorry. Yes.
Yes.
Which again was one of your picks.
Yeah, I mean, I have never seen a 40-something-year-old woman portrayed in quite that way. I mean, she's professional and capable, also broken, but has like this normal, like very normal dysfunctional family, like the way that most of us have. And it was just. She just fit so comfortably there. kind of thing. I'm sure she was very largely being herself, and but it was just so beautifully done. And she made that show. Absolutely. Like the story is a story that's been told before. But watch it, you can just watching it for her alone is worth it.
So there you go. Deb Patel. We had a whole like breaking down
Yeah,
these lists into like
that
our
was
winner
hard.
and our honorable mention was I think we were online for a couple of hours
Hmm.
chatting back and forth trying to narrow these down, and it was hard
Hmm.
because there were so many good performances out there. What's next? We'll
And
give away
if
our
anybody
best.
has, ones that they want to call attention to, by all means, like do so. Of course, a lot of the festival and Oscar nominated movies just kind of came out in the last few months, and we haven't caught all of them because they're not necessarily available for us to get on our streaming services or anything like that or in theaters. But if any of you have caught some of these things and you think that we should know, tell us, please. Certainly got some amazing contenders out there.
I think this might be a contender.
Okay.
Our next award,
Mm.
which we are giving out for best ensemble,
Excuse me. Yes.
which we gave to Power of the Dog.
Hmm.
And this came because we had actually put Benedict Cumberbatch in our performance
Yes.
category.
Yes.
And then we realized that everybody in that movie was stellar.
Yes. Indeed. And,
Like
and
Kirsten
the
Dunst and Plemson and
disappointments. Yep.
Clemens. Sorry, yes.
Yep.
Everybody was absolutely great. And
Mhm.
we didn't want to pick one and leave out everybody else.
Mhm.
Two, we've had a conversation about how we believe that the ensemble category
This
should be added to the Oscars.
this is something that, yeah, we have talked about for a couple of years now. That sometimes it isn't just owing to one individual that makes a flick. It's the way that the entire cast interacts together, and it's especially funny with Power of the Dog because there were tons of news coverage about how Benedict Cumberbatch did not personally interact with Kirsten Dunst at any point during the filming of the movie because he didn't want to alter the relationship that they were having on screen. He didn't want to have a friendship with her outside of the relationship they had on in film because it was a hostile one. So he didn't want
Oh
it
yeah,
to
like
be his performance.
it would have been hard to treat her the way that he treats her in the movie if they're friends outside of it.
Yeah.
Like I know they're actors and this is what they're supposed to do, is they're supposed to act, but I feel that generally knowing somebody and being friends with somebody and getting to know somebody may alter what you bring to a character like that.
Well,
So,
and
I
I
mean,
mean, there's a reason why tons of romances move from on screen to off screen. Like there is all of this chemistry is it's taking advantage of natural chemistry between people. And if they all of a sudden had this natural chemistry of a friendship or something along that line, because but that could have upset that dynamic of being able to just look at her with loathing kind of
yeah.
thing, and it was a fantastically done film, absolutely. So, and everyone pulled their weight.
And also the other reason we wanted to bring up an ensemble category and something like the
Mhm,
Oscars is because you get those movies where not one actor stands out.
mhm,
And I feel that in those cases, one of them may not get a nomination because, or one of them falls into like gets the nom, and then one of them falls into supporting.
mhm.
So you look at a role like Once Upon a Time in Hollywood,
Yeah, okay, good
where
one.
Leo got the nod and Brad got the supporting.
Yeah, but oh
I
my god, he carried so much weight as a supporting actor, so
and
much.
and I don't think like he had less screen time or anything like that. Like he was, so that would have been a movie where I would have just given them an
That was
ensemble award
yeah,
instead of dictating that one was a supporting to
yeah,
another,
and
or
that
say a movie like Usual Suspects or something
mhm,
like that, like where you could give an entire cast, or American Beauty, like everybody in a movie like that. Whereas Kevin Spacey and Annette Bening
mhm.
got like their noms for best actor and actress and stuff like that. That movie was also made by like Thora Birch and Wes Bentley and can't remember her name,
Oh goodness, I've forgotten her. Yeah, yeah, but I know who
Mira something,
Mia.
Mia. But anyway, but it was made by all of them.
Mhm,
So we're huge advocates of getting group nominations for movies. I think the one that actually brought it up was a movie like Parasite,
Yes.
where that entire family and everybody in that movie was fantastic. And if a movie wins best film, obviously the cast has to have been a part of that,
Yes.
and none of them got a nomination
Yeah.
for their performances because there was nobody that stood out as the lead or the whatever. So
Mhm.
if you created an ensemble category, then
Mhm.
everybody in Parasite could have possibly won that because that movie was built on all and everybody that participated in that film.
Yeah. Michelle was just commenting that she really enjoyed American Beauty, that it was a beautiful movie, and indeed it was. I mean, that's a standout film for sure. And of course, with all of the controversy surrounding Spacey, it makes those kinds of things more difficult to enjoy. But no, you can't take away from the fact that that film was gorgeously done. So it's
Yeah.
been a while since I watched that one actually.
Now, for this one, we have an
Thanks.
honorable mention, and
Yes, we
you
do.
have an honorable mention, and I'm adding an honorable mention
Oh, are you now? Okay.
for the fun of it. But your honorable mention, of course, was Reservation Dogs
Yes. I
from
mean,
Taika Waititi.
yes, yeah, this was a co-produced series from Taika Waititi and Sterling. Oh, I'm gonna have to look his name up because I have forgotten it, and I should have looked this up before. In any case, it is a group of kids growing up on a reservation in the United States, and their experiences from like the traumatic things that they go through, also the ridiculousness of of some of the things that happen to them, the bonding between them, how just all about their friendship and their life together growing up. And you could not do that. You couldn't, you can't just focus on one individual story there. It is about the group experience there because all of it, one of the main themes in the series is that they all lost one of their best friends to suicide. And it's how that has affected their entire dynamic. It's an absolutely fantastic series that if I recommend everybody to see if they haven't done so already. Let me see it. Hold on. I will look up that thing. But you, of
Okay.
course, had
My
another.
honorable mention is because we had a movie listed in
Mhm.
pretty much every category, and it didn't win anything, um, due to maybe us coming to common sense or whatever. But the entire ensemble for me for Suicide Squad, I know it doesn't stand up in the powerfulness of like the Power of the Dog or something like that, or Don't Look Up, where, but that entire cast together and Gunn
Mm.
and the direct, and because we had James Gunn in for directing, we had it in for best picture, we had it in for best ensemble, yada yada yada.
And it's
It
your favorite,
is
like
one of
your
my favorite movies of the year, and I think one of the best put together superhero movies in a long time.
yeah.
It had a little bit of everything from great action and directing to great comedy to some really strong characters, whether you like them or dislike them. I mean, like John Cena's Peacemaker was an absolute dick, but he was fantastic as that absolute dick.
And I'm very much looking forward to the Peacemaker series that is coming out
Right,
next month,
which
very
starts
soon.
on the 13th of January,
Yeah.
which we're going to talk about a little bit later when we look forward to some of the stuff that we're looking forward to in 2022. Ooh, and it rhymed too.
We
Not only
dance.
did I fuck all that up, and then I rhymed it at the end because that's how good I am. I don't know what's going on
So
anymore.
yeah,
Did you find Sterling what?
I Sterling Harjo.
Okay.
Yeah. The but yes, so yeah, Sterling Harjo, Taika Waititi put together this absolutely fantastic series, and season one is out. Season two is going to happen. So we will see more from this group, but just an absolutely fantastically done show. And it's not easy, but it's not just full of depressing stuff either. So there
Yeah,
is
it's nice when you can find that blend
yeah.
where you have to have some heady and some heavy subject matter, but because they're friends and stuff like that, they are still going to have some fun and some comedic banter and some lightheartedness between them. And
Hmm.
it's nice to get that mix.
Yeah.
Sometimes you can just layer heavy on top of heavy on top of heavy, and it's just too much. You
Yeah.
need like a nice break,
Yeah.
and
And
so
Waititi is perfect for doing that kind of thing. Like he has done some of his past movies are very much a blend of that, a serious issue combined with humor because there is life can be fun. Give you some funny shit, even when everything is crap. So
Even when
thank God.
everything's crap, it could still get crappier.
Yeah, yeah, considering everything with this pandemic, I'm glad that there's still funny out there. So, but yes, and Suicide Squad was definitely part of that. I mean, they were a wonderful addition to. They were a great blockbuster kind of film to go and see, especially when it came out in the summer when everything had just felt so heavy for so long, and it was just like, oh, that was such a relief.
Well, it's also like a nice contrast to some other shit like of this. Like earlier this year, we had Zack Snyder's Justice League,
Mhm.
which was just dark and gloomy on dark and gloomy, and had Zack Snyder's dark and gloomy take. And then you turn around and you get the Suicide Squad, which is nothing but colorful and fun and jokes and gore and just a good old time at the movies.
Yeah,
I mean, no, not your traditional superhero movie because one, it is about villains being heroes. Two, he did add a lot of gore, which
yeah.
you don't tend to see in,
I mean, it was a B movie monster flick.
yeah,
Absolutely.
and
Yeah.
a really good, it was an A level B movie monster flick. So
Exactly.
those were uh, our honorable mentions for that. Again, trying to cut that down to one ensemble was it was tough.
Yeah.
Same with our next award. Did you like what I did? Everybody, do you like my little envelopes?
He needs
Little
a pat
flying
on the head,
fox?
everyone. Just give him a little pat on the head. He did a good job.
This one is going to Best Director, and it is going to David Lowery for The Green Knight.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. His the composition of the film was stellar, and the ability for of the director to convey passage of time, to convey futuristic visions that happened, these sort of magical sequences that were occurring as well, and like putting that story, adapting a poem into a movie. I mean, this is not an easy task, and to make it something that would make you feel. He just did such an amazing job, and the actors that were chosen were perfect. It was just, it's one of the best films, the best constructions of films that I have seen in a very long time. I was just so impressed when I came out. It was just like, holy crap. So yeah, and the score and just the entirety of that package was just I know that he had a vision and he created that, and it conveys something beautiful to the audience.
Now, you mentioned, of course, that this was adapted by a poem,
Hmm.
which of course meant that he had to use all of his, like the writers and everything, had to create most of this outside of the poem, which was one of the other uh, awards that we didn't get into this year, but you
Yeah.
wanted to add in next year, and
Yes.
that's for the best adaptation,
Yes.
which
Yeah.
this would have fit perfectly in. And there was a bunch of movies that we talked about this year that
So
were
many. Hmm.
adaptations of other mediums and stuff like that. So we're hoping to get that into next year's 2022 year in review award segment, which I guess this is now going to be a running thing.
Yeah,
We're
I'm
going to
thinking.
give away awards because we like to give people their due.
Mhm.
I guess that's what you want to say. Next. Oh, it's the big picture. It's the best movie, series, or special, which we had literally like a list of 40
So hard.
and spent
So
like an
hard.
hour out of our entire conversation the other day just
Yeah.
trying to narrow this down. And it was basically like a bracket kind of series round robin thing where we'd be like, okay, is this better than this? Yes. Okay. Is this better than this? Yeah. Okay. Is this better than this?
And it was
Yeah.
really
Okay. Is this and we just had to basically put all the movies against each other and
and
figure in
serious.
our heads and series and
Yes.
specials and everything and narrow it down. So before we give away this award, if anybody wants to chime in the comments,
Yeah.
what
What was
was the
that?
best thing that you watched or took in this year on any of the screens, big,
Yeah.
little, streaming, whatever, uh, as your comments roll in. So I accidentally deleted the entire list that we had, but there was, do you remember? Like we had Reservation Dogs in here, we had Mayor of Eastwood, we had Dope Sick, we had Loki, we had Yellow Jackets, we had Station 11, we
Mhm.
had I won't mention some of the bigger ones because they're in the running for what we talked about. I had the Suicide Squad in here, um,
Spider-Man: No Way Home, of
Spider
course.
Man No Way Home, Shang-Chi.
Mhm.
Like we had numerous movies in here, but we narrowed it down. We gave the honorable mention to what did we give the honorable mention to?
Yeah, you got a paper
Oh, the
mannequin.
Green Knight.
Yes, we had to
We gave
give
the honorable mention to Green Knight because, as we
magic
said, she
because
just said like when a movie wins Best Performance and Best Director, it's got to
in
be up there and everything. But
indeed.
the movie that would win Best overall also needs to fill the person watching it with a complete sense of something, whether it be joy, whether it be sadness, whether it be whatever. And my lovely co-host decided that the movie that tickled her all over in one of those special ways that when you watch a movie you get those happy feels
Mhm.
was Tick Tick Boom.
Yep, that was my favorite thing. My favorite thing this year, absolutely. I mean, I realize it's a more recent thing, but it was it was just so much joy and sad and loveliness and no and it not it's a musical, but it doesn't make me cringe. And I cringe all the time when it's shitty musicals. I go, nah, nah, I don't. I get like that secondhand embarrassment thing, big time. So if
Well,
it's not done well,
we for our podcast this year, you guys, was it this year, earlier this
mm,
year,
mm,
maybe last year, you forced me to watch Hamilton
I did. Yeah, it was last year.
last year, and that
Yes,
was Lynn Morant.
Lin Manuel Miranda. Yeah,
And I was very no, thank you. And
he
then I
was.
watched it, and his blend of song stylings with adding like a bit of rap and stuff into it, I was fully on board. And of course, he was the one who did Tick Tick Boom.
So he's
And
the director here. Yeah. So for anyone who doesn't know what this movie is, first of all, it's available on Netflix, so you can find it really super easily. The It is the story about Jonathan Larson, who is the person, the composer of Rent, which was a huge musical in the '90s. First musical to really sort of talk about the AIDS epidemic and poverty and racial diversity in these smaller communities in New York City, transsexuals, like the whole kind of thing. It was the first
it's a
thing.
musical version of Degrassi Junior High, if anybody knows what I'm talking about.
Um, anyway, so super important musical, but this is about his life before that musical happened, and it was originally Larson wrote this as a monologue talking about his experience of writing his very first musical, and then it got turned into this, and then Rent came after that. Anyway, it's a freaking fantastic thing. It will just melt your heart. And Andrew Garfield had to learn how to sing to do this. I would not have known that watching this. I would have assumed that he was a singer before. So yeah, and yes, Allison agrees that Andrew Garfield is awesome, and
And
we.
Rohan was very fond of Shang-Chi.
Well, yeah, I mean, separate from this award, but it was high on my list for a lot of things. It was one of my biggest surprises for this year, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. But yes, Tick Tick Boom was my favorite thing of this year, hands down.
Now, because I can see myself in the screen,
Hmm.
and before we still have a bunch of people here, I would like to bring up something that we're
Hmm.
doing in the new year.
Okay.
And that is if everybody wants to look at this beautiful piece of artwork, not my sculpted chest, but our hashtag rock local support indie music shirt,
Hmm.
which is now on sale at our Redbubble shop. For all of our shirts of these shirts that are sold, we will be donating the proceeds that we get back from the sale of the shirt to an organization called Sweet Relief, which we will put a description uh, at some point in time in the
Yes.
comment section so you can go check them out. But Sweet Relief is an organization, I believe it's a nonprofit organization that helps. Well, you know more of this than I do.
Yeah. So this is an organization that was set up by Victoria Williams. She was a Seattle musician that, while on tour with Neil Young, ended up having to go into hospital with some pretty serious symptoms, and it turned out to be cancer. And as a musician, there are no, you don't have any unions supporting you or anything like this. There was no medical care available to her. So this was an organization that was founded by her in response to her experience with cancer. Um, and it provides medical relief to musicians in both the United States and in Canada. So, and this is for physical health as well as mental health. They have very specifically right now a COVID-19 relief fund related to the fact that, of course, musicians aren't able to tour. So there are funds available there um, for musicians to get access to some financial support. And this part of the reason that this one appealed to us in particular is that way back when Tyler and I were dating, he had a CD that was a benefit concert that was put together to raise money for this organization that had like people like Pearl Jam and Soundgarden and all of these other, really the Melvins, blah blah blah, like these really infamous Seattle scene bands, all helping raise money in her honor because she didn't make it, sadly. So this is something that we thought would be a really great recipient to help our indie music folk with, providing support in the challenging times that are still ahead.
So this isn't like a timed thing either.
No.
This is literally, these shirts are now available. And for every shirt that's bought, we will send the proceeds to Sweet Relief. It's an ongoing thing. We're not only doing it for a month or whatever. It's just when we sell one of these shirts, that's where the money's going to go. We love the thought of this. And seeing as we have met so many independent musicians and bands over the last little while, we wanted to throw our support there. Well, also still jumping on board with our continued support of mental health and everything else, is that's one of the main things that this organization looks after.
Mm-hmm.
So that's our initiative of 2022 is to try and give back to the music community and not just make it local. That's why we chose an organization that's both sides of the border and helps out a wide variety of musicians and everything like that. So, of course, we will be, now that we've announced it on the live stream, we will be posting it on all of our social medias, along with the links and everything to the shirt and the organization that we'll be sending the money to, stuff like that. If we have any bands or whatever that are listening and want to maybe get on board with this, I can send you the design.
Mm-hmm.
And if you want to sell it on your shop, perhaps, and help us along, that'd be great. Really, it's also a very nice shirt if you just want to walk around and show your support for independent music, no matter where you are in the world, and stuff like that. So I hope you like it. It's nice. Never mind.
And the scenes only exist because we make them. You know what I mean? Like, local rock doesn't happen if nobody freaking goes.
So show your support towards indie music and music in general. At the same time, you can be helping support a great organization. Yeah. And you can look fucking cool doing it. That was my first swear of the live stream.
I beat you in the swearing.
Nice. Way to go. Proud of you.
I'm proud of myself, actually.
Now, jumping back to 2021, jumping back to all the good and now bad things that we saw this year, asking the people watching, we asked you what the best thing you watched this year was. What's the worst thing that you took in this year? Because we force ourselves to watch some utter shit, because that's what you got to do sometimes.
We don't always know. We don't always know that something is going to be terrible, or even sometimes you hope that it's so bad that it's good, because there's lots of that out there. I mean, I am the first one on board to a movie that is so terrible that it's awesome.
Yeah.
But sometimes they're just so terrible, they're terrible.
They're just terrible. And sometimes they're supposed to be these huge blockbusters, and then you watch them and you realize that the spectacle is not enough to cover up the glaring faults of a movie.
One of the things I want to say is that there was quite a number of movies that came out this year that, maybe it is in part because they got delayed and
may have suffered due to production issues. Yeah. And
they got delayed. The hype was just super extended and all of this kind of stuff. But there was a lot of movies that came out that were just ended up being very forgettable, and that is kind of a shame. When if they had come out when they were supposed to, I feel like we would have been more engaged and more ready or something. I don't really know. Like in particular, one of the ones that comes to mind is No Time to Die. That I feel like that one suffered. My opinion of that one suffered for the long delay for it to come out in part.
Yeah, like it wasn't a horrible movie,
No, of course not. No,
but because of the delay and stuff, it started to waver from my
so
calendar.
many trailers, so
Yeah.
many. I wish they. This is a thing we have discussed this multiple times, where it's like, okay, one trailer definitely needed. Two trailers probably good. Put out a second
Yeah, a
trailer.
teaser trailer, then a full trailer,
Yeah,
and then maybe closer to release date, a second trailer that
sure.
maybe shows one little extra piece that people are
Mhm.
like, "Oh."
Mhm.
Like
Yeah.
you get like we watched that with the Spider-Man No Way Home. I thought they did a great job of those trailers.
Mm.
You got a little teaser, and then you got the trailer where you saw like Doc Ock and the Green Goblin, and you're like, "Holy shit."
Mhm.
Then they released another trailer where now you saw Lizard, Electro, Sandman, and you're like, "Oh." And it just like they kept kind of giving you a little bit more each
And
time,
and also they edited that trailer
and they
too.
edited it well enough to leave out surprises and stuff like that. But yeah, like I don't like, but as you said, like with No Time to Die, I think it was delayed 2 full years. So to keep our interest, it was just, oh, let's just feed them a new trailer every couple of months and stuff like that. And eventually you feel like you've watched the entire movie
Yeah,
just through 36 trailers.
yeah.
Okay, moving on to the awards.
Mhm.
We are giving away our worst performance of the year. And this is
We
going,
also had a good
and this
discussion.
is, I mean, this really goes down to showing you what the right backing, like director, writers, and everything
Mhm.
do for you.
Yes.
Because um, our worst performance of the year goes to Mr. Chris Pratt
Mhm.
for the Tomorrow War.
Oh, so bad.
And this is somewhat surprising because when I first heard about this movie and Pratt and everything, I was like, oh, this could be good.
And of course, Amazon was doing this as like a big, huge blockbuster film that should have been in theaters and all of this kind of stuff. And it had that potential to be that kind, in the based on the trailers, but it was kind of like, I don't know. And well,
Yeah, well, and it just turned out to be a movie completely lacking in any sort of logic,
yeah,
or it was so full of like plot holes and stuff and things that I guess they just wanted us as audience to just overlook and not think.
yeah,
And movies that ask you not to think because then you'll realize just how shit they are, those are not good movies.
you know,
No matter if they're a giant spectacle and stuff like that, if they have plot holes that you could drive trucks through, if they have logic faults that, like, this is literally about taking people into a war in the future
mhm,
instead of figuring out when the war starts and going back then. So we're going to transport people into the future to fight a war that's already happening instead of just transporting people 15 years into the future to when around the time where they know the war starts and try and nip it in the bud then.
yes,
And they tried to explain it off in the movie and they did a piss poor job of it
yeah,
and it didn't make sense. So this movie is also one of our honorable mentions for worst movie of the year.
yeah.
But Chris Pratt's performance, this is what we got to about the whole when you have a team around you to make you better. Because I loved Chris Pratt in like the Marvel
Guardians.
movies and Guardians and stuff like that. When you had Gunn doing his writing and other shit, whereas this, he was an executive producer on it. He was the one behind this. He basically, I think, gave himself a
Yeah,
starring role and something to do and stuff like that. And it was just poorly written, poorly executed. And he was fairly poor. He did
yeah.
that whole Marky Mark where everything he said, I thought he was asking a question.
Oh yes, the up tilt in the
Yeah,
voice.
the up tilt in everything that he said.
Yes.
Like, are you asking me? Or are you telling me?
Hmm.
Because like we watched. Well, I don't know. Did you watch The Happening?
Oh, of course. Yeah.
Yeah, the M Night Shyamalan
Yeah. Yeah.
disaster of a movie where every single word that came out of
Yeah.
Marky Mark's mouth was said in a voice like this. And you're
I
like,
think I didn't have as much criticism for that because I just didn't, and I really liked the premise of that film. The idea that but that we're gonna get really off topic if we
yeah, we're
start doing that.
sidetracking, but
Sure.
yes, The Happening was a piss poor movie with a great concept.
Yeah, because the science is proving it out in a really significant way, which kind of makes it cool, but it wasn't really well delivered. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
now we're doing our 2009 year in review. I don't know when The Happening
You
came out, but it was a
you
while ago.
started
Nice.
it.
It's fine. Anyway,
In any
Chris Pratt
case,
was absolutely shit in a
it's terrible.
fairly shit movie.
Yeah.
Now, our worst director of the year award goes to probably not somebody that a ton of people may agree with this.
Mm,
Because again, it's a nice big blockbuster, made a bunch of money, big summer movie, but
mm.
it goes to Justin Lin for Fast 9. This is my choice because Karen didn't see this movie.
No, I would
Because
not
I
suggest.
believe I talked Karen out of seeing this movie.
Yeah, you did entirely. Yes.
Yeah. Because this movie was one of those movies that they needed to set up so many coincidences, sort of thing,
Mhm.
and to make it work. Like a plane crashes in the whatever Amazon jungle. Oh, we got to get all these street racers to the plane crash to save Mr. Nobody. So this plane just happened to crash right along a very
A
distinct
winding
roadway
road
so that
in
they could get there. Deep in the middle of the jungle, according to they say, where they like nobody can get in to save them, but there's roads leading right to the plane,
Mhm.
just so our heroes can drive their fancy fucking cars.
Ah.
Then they get to the plane, a plane that crashed in the middle of nowhere. They get what they need to get from the plane. When they're done all that, then the entire fucking army of I can't remember what country it was shows up all at once, as if they were all just waiting in a fucking circle outside the plane, minus the roadway because we had to leave that clear for our heroes to drive in.
I agree with Allison's statement that we do not need any more Fast and the Furious movies. I
Yeah, well,
agree.
we're getting one more,
I know. I know.
and it's funny because we just saw Vin Diesel basically try and manipulate
Oh
Dwayne
yes,
Johnson back into the fray
yeah, and
by bringing up Paul Walker and
yeah,
family or
Johnson is
familia,
having
whatever.
none of it.
I'd even
Absolutely.
brought up the Rock's family and kids and stuff like that. And the Rock is having none of it. And I'm not having any of it either because I'm like, if you wanted to do that, send him a private message. Don't splash it over social media and try and get
No,
everybody else to back your silly plea because that's the only way you know that you can try and trick Dwayne fucking Johnson back into your movie. I mean, obviously, people liked F9. It made a bunch of money. So I'm fairly sure you can make F10 without Dwayne. I mean, I think they're already getting Statham back. So that's one nut back into it. But uh, if if Fast 10, if F10 follows the exact same framework as fucking Fast 9, it might win my next
it
award.
went into space.
Yeah, they
Come
went to
on.
space in a Fiero.
No, no, no.
And I mean, I get it. It's all for the show, it's all for the spectacle.
I know.
But at least make the show and the spectacle make any sort of sense.
Some little tiny
At
bit.
one point, a giant military big rig flips over onto its roof. Then, without the assistance of wheels or anything, continues to slide on its roof for another maybe 90 kilometers. And it was only doing maybe 60 miles an hour before it flipped onto its roof because it was racing down busy fucking city streets. Then gets flipped onto its roof through magnets that are inside of cars that somehow don't affect themselves or the other cars with our other heroes in them. They only affect the cars around them and this giant military vehicle. So, I mean, we have like Letty and Dom driving side by side with giant magnets that they turn on, don't affect each other, just every single vehicle around them and whatever. And then this rig flips over, lands on its roof, where you think maybe after a couple of hundred yards, meters, it would slow to a stop. Nope. Continues to slide through at least 5 to 10 kilometers, miles of city streets, then off a cliff, landing back on its wheels, then getting missiles fired at it by a fighter jet, which I believe Vin Diesel Dom swings the ass end of the fucking military transport around, knocking the fucking missile out of the air like a fucking base. It was shit.
Yes.
Like
Okay.
we saw movies that are nothing but spectacle, but good spectacle. This was just spectacle for the sake of spectacle, and that doesn't make a good movie, which is why it also wins our
Okay.
worst movie award.
I think we have adequately described.
Yeah, I mean, we were really just talking about the director there, and then we went on to talking about why the movie was shit, and that's why it wins our award
I
for worst movie.
and what was our honorable mention for
Oh, our
worst
honorable mention in this. Our
for worst
honorable
director?
mentions for all of this. One, I did an honorable mention for worst performance for Bruce Willis in basically everything from 2019 forward. Mainly it was for Cosmic Sin, which I accidentally watched this year.
I
And he just did his Bruce Willis
still don't understand.
I sleepwalk through a movie for a paycheck.
Mhm.
Because all he does now is make straight to streaming or straight to video fucking shit.
Indeed.
Our honorable mention for worst director. Oh, well, of course. Our honorable mention, this is what you wanted me to say.
Mm.
Our honorable mention for worst movie is Black Widow.
Yep. Hmm.
Another
I
movie of
I've seen
spectacle
that.
for the sake of
Yes.
spectacle and a
I'm just
character that deserved so much more and
exactly.
didn't get it.
Exactly. We needed the story. We needed the Budapest story. We needed to see her, the arc of her going from villain to hero. All of these and we saw none of that. We saw something that went way too big for no good reason, and I just no.
Like, honestly, 2 episodes of Hawkeye gave a better farewell to Black Widow
Yeah,
than Black Widow.
yeah. And it's not. I'm putting none of this on to Scarlett Johansson. It had nothing to do with her performance. She did what was necessary in that film, and she did a good job. But I didn't like the story that they gave her, and she deserved better than that.
Yeah,
So
she
I
deserved
was
a more
angry.
espionage-ish,
Yes,
smaller, more
yes,
personal story. You can still
exactly.
get her family involved and stuff like that, and she can still go home, but like she was trying to take down an organization of assassins,
Hmm. It
and then it just turned into a world domination plot.
was just
And
yes.
that's what every Marvel movie needs to be, world domination. Well, really all it was about getting all these little Black Widow assassins and infiltrating them into little pockets of the world so that they can control shit, which yes is a world domination plot, but it doesn't need to be
And
this
it also
huge
didn't
spectacle of
it didn't need to be
shit.
happening in space. Like, what is that? Anyway, so yes, that was the honorable mention for
And
worst.
our honorable mention for worst director of the year
Mhm.
goes to one Zack Schneider
Yes.
for one
'Cause
giving us Army of the Dead,
ugh, yeah.
which was I think one of our honorable mentions for worst movie. It was on
Yeah,
that
it was
list too,
definitely on the list. It was on the
because
list of
that
things.
was just another movie that didn't need to exist, that had so many problems going on with it, like a zombie on horseback beating a helicopter from building to building, especially when he's on the rooftop of one building, has to get all the way to the ground floor, get on his horse, ride over to the next building, and they get all the way back up to the top floor before a helicopter just flies between one building to the next. Two, the whole reason for the movie existing didn't make sense.
No.
I mean, you're hiring mercenaries. Why do you have to lie to mercenaries about what they're going into this place for if you're just paying them?
Mhm.
They're mercenaries. This is what they
Yes.
do.
They just get
Just
hired to do shit.
just hire them to do what you needed them to do. You don't have to lie to them. Um, Three, one of the main bad guys in the movie has a chance to escape with the
Exactly.
exact thing that he came into the movie to get, and then chooses not to, literally just setting himself up to die at some point in time in the movie. And he is literally standing 5 feet away from his exit. And he has this thing that he wants. He's now just turned his back on everybody and basically backstabbed everybody. And then he decides, no, I'll stick around and see what happens.
Right. This is one of those cases where somebody needed to put the director in check, and they did not.
And we also put him in here for Zack Snyder's Justice League.
Well, I didn't, but
I
okay.
did, because that was 4 hours of my life that I didn't need taken.
Yeah.
It didn't need to be fucking 4 hours.
No, it did not. I
The
agree.
whole competition between the Zack Snyder cut and the original Justice League didn't really need to happen.
No.
Slightly unfair. I mean, if he had have made his cut of a 2 hour and some odd movie, fair enough. But when you get an extra $50 million to do it, another couple, like almost another year to make it, and a 4 hour runtime, and
I'm
that is still what you create.
Yeah, I'm okay with the runtime because, of course, we've seen that with like the Lord of the Rings movies, for instance, where they have done the director's cuts are 4 hours long, and they're worth it to me.
Yeah, well, this wasn't worth the 4 hours.
No, I think that it could have been much less. I mean, we talked about this before, and we sort of decided that maybe we could definitely nix an hour off of
Oh
that,
yeah,
and have been happy. It
that
would have
movie could
still
have definitely been an hour to an hour and a half
yeah,
shorter,
it would
and I
still
would have been happy with it.
yeah, but he's if he's not reined in a little bit, he's talented. I definitely think that Snyder is talented, but he needs someone to kind of keep him a little bit in check.
Yeah, he's talented when he does, I think, smaller-ish movies, because I loved his Dawn of the Dead.
Hmm.
I really liked his Sucker Punch.
Hmm. Oh yeah. Hmm.
Um, but then when he got into like the bigger superhero stuff, like Man of Steel and the Justice League and stuff like that, I it's as you said, he's given too much of a leash,
Hmm.
and he just he he
Well,
he gets he
he's
gets
on
all
something.
Zack Snyder-ish.
Wait, that's bad taste.
What?
Never mind. I didn't say anything.
Okay, that's good, because I think I was talking over you and nobody heard anyway. But anyway, he needs to be reeled in.
Yeah.
So that leaves us with one last award to give out in the movie series specials
Hmm.
thing, and this is the Vast of Night Award.
Ah, yes.
If anybody who's been paying attention to our podcast since last year, you will understand our ever ever dying, non-dying,
Undying.
undying love for a
Yeah.
movie called The Vast of Night,
Yeah.
which was a small independent movie that we found during our first season last year on the
Rather by
podcast.
accident. Yeah.
Yeah, by accident or something. I can't remember. It was a very deep dive Google search to try and find shit to watch during a pandemic and stuff like that. And we were looking up independent movies and shit and this. And then this movie called Vast of Night came across one of our laps, and we were like, well, let's give this a watch.
Hmm.
And then it turned out to be, from start to finish, one of the most enjoyable movies
Yeah.
that we have ever watched.
We loved it.
I mean, it's not a huge, big spectacle. It is a story driven movie that was, and small, like maybe two main characters, a couple of side characters, but it's based on two main characters and a sound over the radio.
Yeah.
And they built a very deep and emotional and
Entirely compelling. Yeah.
compelling and everything story based on that. So basically, the Vast of the Night Award we're giving it to something that kind of came out of left field,
Yeah.
that we
Surprise.
weren't that surprised us. We weren't expecting, and we watched it and we were like, "What the fuck?" And so our Vast of the Night award goes to The Mitchells versus the Machines, which I think was mainly my pick. You enjoyed it,
Yeah.
but I went this way because I was again doing my research for the podcast and the live stream and looking up like some of the best reviewed movies of 2021 to see if what we were talking about kind of matched what other people were saying and stuff like that. And then this movie kept popping up in like all the top 10 lists. And I was like, what is this? Like just an animated movie that I don't even like, it's not part of like the Pixar or the DreamWorks or
Yeah.
the any of the big names. Just this weird animated movie that I just kept seeing listed on all of the top movie lists everywhere. So I hadn't known that you had already watched it because you just decided to just not tell me that you
Oh,
watched
you
this
didn't tell me yet.
amazing animated film. But anyway, so we checked it out, and it is so entertaining from start to finish. And that's one of these. Like, Yeah, this originally this was going to be in our best movie category, and then we decided that we wanted a couple of things to stand outside of that, and so we created the Vast of Night Award, which is going to the Mitchells versus the Machines, family little driven animated movie that has some emotion, some heart, some comedy, some action, hilarity. It's like an all encompassing, just good time
It's a really good package. It's
in
a
the movie.
delightful thing. Yes.
And
We had an
our
honorable
honorable
mention.
mention on this
Yeah.
was Arcane,
Yes.
which I discovered and then told Karen about,
Mhm.
and it was based on a video game that I don't even play. It's based on the League of Legends video game, which I know about, but I couldn't see really how this would turn into an animated series. Like I didn't know what they were going to do with it, as I believe it's kind of a prologue, like a prequel
Mhm.
to the actual game and stuff like that. But some of the best animation that I've seen since the Spider Verse.
It was gorgeous.
It's
Absolutely
gorgeous to
beautiful.
look at, hugely emotional.
Yes.
The I want to say choreography, but whatever. In the fight scenes and the action scenes is top
Well,
notch. Character designs.
mhm.
Um, I like the first season is fun to watch, has some comedy, is like just a spectacle in color and design and animation, and then has a couple of
And
like
is really
Squid
talented.
Game emotional
Yeah.
fucking
I was just
moments.
That's what I was gonna say. It was when a cartoon can manage to evoke my empathy to that level, it has been very well written and very well executed in its design. And the Arcane was fantastic at that. And of course, they have yes, it's based on a video game, but they have really created this beautiful story around it, kind of thing. So they're taking the elements that are part of the game, but they build an entire world. And so, and they're not, they haven't been locked in by some other, like by a storyline kind of thing. Now, there are other sort of video game adaptations out there, like The Witcher, and by all accounts, they have been doing a really good job of taking that storyline into the series. This one kind of makes a storyline that didn't previously exist,
Yeah,
and they do a beautiful job of it.
yeah,
And
like
I yeah, I loved it.
the video game League of Legends is literally just like a top-down strategy game where you're trying to hold positions and stuff like that. Like
Mm,
there's no engrossing story that's already been written for it. Whereas The
mhm.
Witcher has a game and has books and has everything that they can take the stories, the characters, and everything from a little bit easier. When you're designing this entire world and these characters and a backstory and stuff like that off of what is really a very simplified game,
Yeah,
like it's something else. As and because I mentioned it, of course, Squid Games, one of
yeah.
the biggest things of this year, was on our list, and
Because how could it not be? I mean,
it was absolutely amazing. But for me, there was a couple of episodes that were less than stellar. Whereas like a show like Arcane, every episode for me has been stellar.
mhm.
There hasn't been a dip. Whereas with Skid Games, there was like the Marble episode, of course, was one of like the
Oh
most
my
talked
god,
about and most
devastating.
emotional
Absolutely
and
devastating.
devastating episodes that we've seen on TV in a while.
Mhm.
But then they follow it up with like the tug of war episode, which left me with absolutely no
You didn't feel there were any stakes.
no, there was no stakes. I mean, they put the first team of all the bad guys up against something. Well, of course, we know who's going to win that one.
Mhm.
Sorry. Then they put all the entire team of good guys on a team against somebody. And of course, we know who's going to win that one.
Yeah, yeah.
Whereas they should have split some people. I mean, one of the good things about that show was that you didn't know who was going to die
No, that's true. You really did.
until I got to this
Yeah,
episode
yeah,
and I knew who was going to not die.
yeah.
Whereas if they had to put like 456, whatever his name was, on one team and then the girl on the other or the bully on the other or
You
something,
wouldn't know.
you'd be like, oh my shit, like what's going to happen here? It just came to, and then how do you almost ruin a perfect show? You add in the VIPs.
Yeah.
how do you take some of like a bunch of the worst actors and deliverers of line that I've ever seen
Wouldn't.
ever?
Entirely
Yeah,
wouldn't.
and drop them into an up to that point almost impeccable, like spot on,
Yes.
impeccable show. Two, if you are going to subtitle an international show or movie,
Mm,
make sure you actually get the
yes,
dialogue right,
you're right.
because I know that was the other thing that they were um, run to task for, is that the subtitles didn't match like a good percentage of the dialogue that was actually being spoken.
Yeah,
And I guess Netflix just decided that only English speaking people were going to watch this, so we'll just throw whatever we want on screen.
fine.
But anyway, so
Anyway,
Squid Game, of course, is a spectacle of this year, but just didn't live up to the hype in every aspect that it could.
yeah. So yes, our so actually, so both of our contenders or both of our choices for the Vast of Night Award this year were animated.
Hmm.
We had The Mitchells versus the Machines and Arcane. So
Which is weird because I, as been documented in our podcast, I don't tend to go to animated movies as much. But I did say as a caveat, I don't go to animated movies from previously existing entities,
mm,
like What If.
okay.
I didn't enjoy because it was Iron Man and Thor and everybody not voiced by Iron Man and Thor and stuff like that. Whereas I'm all on board. Like I love Pixar movies and stuff like that because they're new characters, which means they're new voices. They're characters that I don't have an already connection to in
Mhm.
some way and stuff like that. So I do enjoy animated films, but these two surprised the ever living shit out of me.
There you
So our Vast of Night Award goes to the Mitchells versus the Machines, with a huge honorable mention to Arcane. If you haven't checked either of these out, then you
go. You
really,
should.
really should.
Yep,
We highly recommend.
definitely.
So, what did I don't know if anybody's been commenting because I've been watching something
No,
else.
it's been quiet. Quiet.
Quiet. Where are
Maybe
you, fucking people?
I would.
What
I
did you watch this year that blew your fucking mind, or uh, you just really, really disliked?
I
Get
mean,
into the conversation.
yeah. There are certainly some currently airing contenders that we ended up eliminating because they're not finished. But things like Yellow Jackets and Station 11, which are both fantastic films series
Serious.
that are airing right now, and we are both enjoying the hell out of them, but they're not done yet. So we wanted to leave this to series that were complete for this year.
And we're currently in the midst
Yep.
of season 6 of The
Next time.
Expanse,
Yeah, yeah.
which is leaning or leading towards something absolutely spectacular
Yeah.
from what we've seen. Um, saying that, are you looking forward to anything in the new year, series wise or movie
Um,
wise?
Series wise, definitely looking forward to the Peacemaker. Movie wise, the Spider Verse movie.
Spider Verse movie.
The sequel to Into the Spider Verse. Those are my two big ones. But there are some other ones that I am curious about. There's one that's coming out this month, starring Stanley Tucci, called La Fortuna,
Yeah.
which is based on a Spanish based on a Spanish property that I'm not familiar with, but it basically involves a I don't know how to describe him, a treasure hunter, like a modern hunter who is portrayed by Stanley Tucci, Frank Wilde, coming across um, gold from a ship that had sunk during the wars in the Caribbean, and it is actually a legal drama about what is supposed to happen to this
Oh,
gold.
when you find treasure.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like about marine law, and it looks really kind of interesting. It's an angle that I don't think we've ever seen portrayed. So I'm really quite curious about it. So that's one of the ones that I'm looking forward to. There's a series coming from with I mentioned it before, and now I can't remember the name of it. Landscapers with Olivia Colman and David Thewlis.
All right.
Yeah, that. Oh, Michelle
Cyrano.
was mentioning Cyrano. So yes, this is the film about Cyrano de Bergerac, starring Peter Dinklage, and it looks fantastic. And it's also it's in the Oscar lens as well. So we'll have to. I'm looking forward to taking that one in when it comes.
I have, of course, Peacemaker, which is coming out in a little while.
Mhm.
2022 is supposed to bring us the Lord of the Rings series.
I am curious about that. We'll see how what they do. I mean, there are a lot of stories to tell, and if they bring in stuff from the Silmarillion and some of the Tom Bombadil and all of that kind of stuff, could be quite interesting.
Also, The Last of Us, which, of course, is one of
Oh,
my favorite games ever. So I'm interested to see
right.
what they do with the series.
Yeah.
And of course, they just uh, one of the people in it, of course, is Pedro
Right. Pedro Pascal.
Pascal.
Hmm.
So I mean, everybody loves Pedro Pascal at the moment. The Halo series, of course, which I'm on the fence about because I just don't know if they're going to do it well enough.
Who
But
knows?
we'll see what happens. And also because the Halo has been one of those shows that has been tried to get made like
For a long
4 separate times through like a bunch of different companies.
time.
So if this was the best pitch for it, great.
Is one of the other TV properties that I'm really looking forward to is Good Omens 2.
Good Omens too. Yes, I have
It's,
that.
the idea that they're able to take this idea that Gaiman and Pratchett put together, but then we're never able to realize into a book just because of life, the universe, and everything. Thanks, Douglas Adams. That I'm really hoping that will be a fitting tribute to Pratchett as well. So
Well, it's
yeah.
funny that you mentioned Good Omens because, of course, Allison just chimed in with saying that she's looking forward to a year of new books.
Why
And
is that? This is not a sad thing. What do you mean it's not cool of you to mention? Bah, no. I mean, if there's good books coming, we
no,
want to
I
know.
said it was cool to mention,
Yeah,
as we were just talking about Good Omens, which is an adaptation of a book.
yeah, yeah. Like, I
So
mean, hey,
I wasn't knocking it. I was saying this is a good segue because she just mentioned wanting new books for
yeah.
2022.
And besides, like, let's face it, a lot of movies end up getting based on book material. I mean, that's where a lot of the original IP comes from. So,
Well, how about next on my list, which was House of Daggers or Dragons,
oh, oh,
which of
really?
course is the prequel or whatever of.
You want to see that? I don't know
No,
about that.
I don't. I was just mentioning it as it's one of the big properties. It's supposed to be coming out in
Yeah,
2022.
I'm gonna
Yeah,
wait.
but are you gonna weigh it on the fact that you didn't like season 8 of Game of Thrones, or
I am going to.
like these are new showrunners and everything taking over?
Yes,
So
I'm never a big fan of prequels because I feel like the story has already been told. Um, because we already know where it goes.
yeah,
So I'm always a little leery of that. However, I will certainly I will watch it to see if they do a good job because I mean the Targaryen storyline from Game of Thrones is pretty interesting. So maybe I'll see. I will watch it and develop an opinion of it. I'm not going to assume that it's terrible. I will give it its due. It, what's the word? I don't know what the word I'm looking for is right now because I cannot
it's
think of
fine.
it. But I will absolutely check it out for myself to make my own opinion on it.
And
But
Disney Plus is loading up in
mm,
2022. Of course, we have Moon Knight, She-Hulk, Obi-Wan, and Andor.
damn,
Of course, the Book of Boba Fett just started, and we'll be going into 2022 as well.
it was a good start. I will say that the first
Yeah,
episode we
episode
liked.
was good.
Yes.
I'm looking forward to Tokyo Vice,
Hmm,
which is a series from Michael Mann,
okay.
and of course Michael Mann of Heat and
Hmm.
the reboot of Miami Vice and a bunch of other shit. And
Hmm.
he's doing another like police drama ish
Okay.
kind of thing.
Cool.
Not a ton on it yet, but I saw it and I gave it a little
Mhm.
read up, and I was like, oh,
Yeah.
it's Michael Mann, so
Yeah.
I'll be in on that. My movies coming up for the new year. There's a ton that I'm looking forward to.
Mm.
Right out of the gate, I think it releases this Friday is the 355, which is of course Jessica Chastain
Yeah, I mean, it's an
and
action,
Lepido and
espionage
Penelope.
thriller and led by women.
Yeah,
Hey, cool, awesome, good job. So if it, and some really strong leads there, so definitely worth a watch.
yeah. Scream for me. I
Of
want to
course,
see what they do
of
because
course.
this is what I've heard. This is a goodbye to Scream and hello to Scream. I guess this is gonna be it's a retool of
Oh,
sorts where we're gonna say goodbye to the original cast one last time,
all
which is
right.
why we have Nev and Arquette and Cox back, and
Yeah.
we're gonna shift forward. So there are gonna be more Scream movies, possibly helmed by the same people who are doing this, which of course are the guys behind um, Ready or Not which we
Right.
absolutely love, shit like
Which is
that. So
amazing. Yeah.
has some good shit. Guy Ritchie teaming together with Jason Statham, of course, for Operation Fortune looks fun. Seen the
Mhm.
trailer for it, looks like a good time. Of course, we have Morbius. We have Moonfall, which is Roland Emmerich destroying the planet, which he
I mean,
does so
just
well.
just give him all the money because he does absolutely ridiculous things, but, but it's fun.
We have Ambulance, which I'm excited for because it's Michael Bay staying kind of at ground level.
I I mean, I certainly like the people that he's chosen to be in this, with Jake Gyllenhaal and Yahya Mateen Jr., but or the second,
I
not
know it's a Michael Bay movie, but
but
I don't know. Sometimes he does really good jobs when he stays personal, close to the ground, close to home, like his original Bad Boys. I even like Bad Boys 2.
mm,
It's when he gets these giant. He's
Transformers.
kind of like a Zack Schneider. He
Yeah,
needs to be reined in a little bit.
yeah.
Like Six Underground had potential and was ultimately a fairly bad put together movie.
It has okay, I'm not saying that the film will be terrible, but, when we were watching the trailer and it hit all of the all of
Oh
the
yeah, when we were going through it, it's like okay,
trailer
it hit all the notes that a trailer needs to hit. If you watch that meme or that whatever,
and if you haven't, you really should, and I should post that because it's freaking
yeah,
hilarious.
we'll give him the link to that.
Um,
The Batman, of course.
yes, I am very excited about the Batman. Very
I
excited. And the
have
Flash. Oh my
the
god, I'm so
Flash.
excited about the Flash movie coming. So excited. So
The unbearable weight of massive talent.
that looks really interesting.
Nicolas
Yeah, this
Cage
is
getting to be himself.
getting to be himself and with Pedro Pascal. Awesome. So yeah, that looks
So I
that
gotta
looks
find the write up for one of them that I had on here. I just read it earlier today, and I was like, yeah, I gotta add this to my list. I didn't even know it existed.
okay.
Just scrolling through here.
Michelle
It's
was
called.
commenting that she's hoping that we can see Scream in theater.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, that would be lovely. I don't know if I'll have the opportunity to do that in Germany, but we'll see. Never know.
The movie is called Bullet Train.
Yes,
It's
I
from
saw
the
this.
John Wick and Atomic Blonde director David Leitch.
Yeah,
It has
and
Brad Pitt, Sandra Bullock, Zazie Beetz, Aaron Taylor Johnson, Joey King, Brian Tyree Henry, and it's all about 5 assassins
yes,
on the bullet train
that
in
that end
Tokyo.
up with with interconnected hits. And
Yeah,
yeah, that looks fascinating. I saw the description for that and I was like, ooh, I like this. Yeah.
so that's high on my list because I love
Like
David
Murder on
Leitch.
the
I love
Orient
his
Express.
directing style.
Up a
Sorry,
few levels. Yeah.
sorry.
It's like Murder on the Orient Express, but up a few levels.
Yeah, of course. This is year we're supposed to get Top Gun Maverick.
Maybe. Let's assume.
Maybe. I'm all for this movie called The Black Phone with
Okay.
Ethan Hawke. It's a
Okay.
horror movie, and it's
He's
about
been doing that
uh,
lately.
the killer who kidnaps kids and stuff like that.
Okay.
And in the room where he keeps the kids, there's supposedly a mysterious phone, and he
Hmm.
keeps getting calls from what seems to be the ghosts of all the other kids that have been killed that have all tried to escape, and they're all giving him their clue to how to get out. So
Mm.
the first kid managed to scribble something into a wall. The
Okay.
second
So
kid found that and moved from that to do
I
this
get, I
before
get you.
getting caught. And then the
Gotcha.
third kid found the scribble, then found the second clue, and then the third before getting caught. So it's like an extended thing where all of the ghosts, I guess, of these other kids are trying to
Hmm.
help the most recent kidnappee
Hmm.
to
Yeah, yeah.
escape. And it looks very menacing. And Ethan Hawke wearing it looks fantastic. Of course, we have a Thor movie, we have a Jurassic Park movie,
Which, we're gonna see. Like,
we have Spider-Man Through the Spider-Verse, The Flash, Black Panthers, Wakanda Forever. Could be
uh-huh.
interesting, so I want to see what they do with that.
Hmm.
I'm hoping they keep a bunch of it kind of close to the chest because that's one of those movies where I'd like to see what happens instead of
You
being
wanna see
told what they're
surprise.
planning on doing with it.
Yeah, you wanna be
Like
surprised. So far,
who's going to take over the Black Panther mantle and stuff like that. So I'd like to keep that a secret. Jordan Peele is coming out with another horror movie called Nope.
nope. I know. I saw that and reteaming with Daniel Kaluuya. So
Yeah.
that is super exciting considering how amazing Get Out was. I'm really excited about that one.
And of course, we have Knives Out 2
Right. Yep.
coming out. And then
And
this
Craig
last one.
reprising his role. Yeah. And we also have, speaking of detectives, we also have Kenneth Branagh reprising his role as Hercule Poirot in and now Death on the Nile kind of thing, which is facing some controversy because, of course, it has Armie Hammer in it,
Right.
and we can't pretend that 2021 didn't happen there.
Didn't happen.
Do, 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 do.
Of course, this is also the year we're supposed to get another Aquaman movie. We're supposed to get Avatar 2. We're supposed to get a
Right.
couple of the big ones.
Yeah.
Another one I'm interested in is Havoc, starring Tom Hardy, Forrest Whitaker, and Timothy Olyphant.
Okay.
Brought to us by the one and only, my favorite of the action movie variety, one Mr. Gareth Evans.
Ooh, interesting.
So
Okay.
a little
He's the one
raid,
who
Gangs
did
of London
Fast and
style with Tom Hardy, Timothy Olyphant, Forrest Whitaker. And it is
That sounds interesting.
again another detective who must fight his way through the criminal underground to rescue a politician's estranged son, all while untangling the city's dark web of conspiracy and corruption.
I think we have a bot.
Yeah, I'll get rid of it.
Good. Yeah, no, that definitely sounds like an interesting film to pursue for sure. Yeah, I saw that one come up in the list, and I was like,
Well, as soon as you say Gareth Evans for anything, I'm on board. I mean, the Raid 2. I managed to finally see an episode of Gangs of London and shit like that. He is just an amazing director, storyteller.
We haven't mentioned that. So Michelle brought up a film called Everything Everywhere All at Once that's starring Michelle Yeoh, and we hadn't mentioned it, but I did see the trailer for that in this last week, and it does look incredible. It looks absolutely surreal, and it's sort of like this multiverse kind of thing, but I'm pretty much on board with pretty much anything that Michelle Yeoh does, so I'm gonna watch it. And it definitely looks like it wouldn't appeal to everyone, but it looks super interesting. And both Tyler and myself, of course, like films that are different, so we will watch that one for sure.
I lost a card.
Oh no!
I found a card.
Oh, good.
Okay.
We have some awards still to give
Do
out.
we want to go back to 2021 now that we've ventured out of it for a little bit?
Yes.
Do we want to go personal, or do we want to go with our big two?
Let's go personal first.
Personal first?
Yeah.
Okay, but these are our friends, you know.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
I was going to save them for the end.
Let's do our friends next. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So first, we have. Can't remember what I named it. We have our person of the year for work outside of pop culture, which this person should have won this award from Time Magazine.
Yeah.
When they decided to give it to Elon Musk.
Yeah.
Which we were not all for. And no. I will let you take the lead on this if you know a bunch of what this person has been up to. Well, and our person outside of the world of pop culture, or for work outside of pop culture, is one Miss Dolly Parton.
Yeah, Dolly Parton definitely should have won Person of the Year award from Time. Come on. She has been a major financial backer in Moderna. So, of course, one of the major providers of vaccines for COVID. She has done tons of work with literacy in communities in the United States because she came from a place where education was not well supported. In general, she is just this sort of positive force. She is a creative and a businesswoman. She is nothing but admirable. And now, unrelated to 2021, she has also been instrumental, as it turns out, to the development of series that we very much deeply love, like things like Buffy. But
speaking of that,
and she is an absolute icon at this point.
And in 2021, she won her first Emmy.
Yay!
For her Dolly Parton's Christmas in the Square television movie.
Nice.
She raised $750,000 for the flood victims in August. Her fortune this year has reached, I think, $350 million. So, as you were saying, she's a savvy businesswoman and everything
Mhm.
else. Uh, she's just an amazing person.
Yep.
Everything that she does
She gives
for
back.
others. She gives back immensely to community and stuff like. And she's very personal. I mean, she showed up and thanked Little Nos for his Jolene cover,
Yep.
like
This is
personally.
yeah.
Oh, is that what somebody was talking about?
No, no, no. Allison was just saying that she sends free books to children in libraries, and this is, part of her literacy,
Yeah,
part of her
campaign.
literacy drive. Yeah,
So this is who we think should have
yeah,
been Person of the Year.
yeah.
Now we also have Pop Culture Person of the Year, as
Mhm.
we are a pop culture
Indeed.
podcast, so we kind of needed to separate them out. And our award for Pop Culture Person of the Year, if we go back to our banners, is one Mr. David Grohl,
Yeah.
who I don't think is watching, but here, Dave, we gave you an award
For you.
because so far this year, not only has Nevermind hit its 30th anniversary this year, and of course he was a huge part of Nirvana, and anybody our age and shit like that, like if
Kind of,
Nirvana wasn't part of your life,
kind of changed the world as far as
uh,
music was concerned.
yeah. And then just this year alone, the Foo Fighters were the first band to have a max capacity concert
Yeah.
once kind of some of the restrictions were released early or late summer. They were the band that was given the honor of kind of that at Madison Square Garden.
And Omicron. Yeah.
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 He put out a documentary this year called What Drives Us.
Yeah.
He put out a
And
book this year called The Storyteller. He during one of his concerts, do you remember her name? I
shoot. Nope, I don't, but I can find it.
So if anybody remembers last year, he was having a drum competition with a lovely little girl that YouTubed her playing Everlong, and then he played back and challenged her, and they had like a drum off or whatever. So during one of his end of year concerts just this year, he actually brought her up on stage to play Everlong with the band, which is
Nandy
absolute
Nandy Bushel.
Andy Bushel, which
Yeah.
is absolutely fabulous.
Yeah.
Everything that I see of David Grohl, it's always similar to like a Dolly Parton, but in the pop culture thing, he's giving back. He is so personable. There's never been like a Foo Fighters show where he hasn't invited a fan up on stage, or like he's just interactive. He's huge on social media and gets involved with his fans and everything. He's
He's a real human being, and
during one of their well, they were in the studio, I believe, for their upcoming album. They they made a horror comedy which
fun.
should be released. It's
Oh,
finished
that's awesome.
filming, so it's called Studio 666, I believe. So through everything else that Dave Grohl has done just in 2021 with a documentary and a book, they've written and filmed a movie. They put in a new album this year. Like I said, Nevermind reached his 30th, who he was hugely instrumental in.
Yeah,
He's very giving. I believe he's got a couple of charities.
totally.
Uh, he's just a good guy from what we can tell, and that is why he gets our pop culture person of the year for 2021.
And on top of that, just to make us feel old, Everlong turns 25 this year. What the hell?
Yeah, in 2022. So
Oh my God. Oh no.
so
But
that also goes to show you how long Foo Fighters have been going, and
yeah,
strongly.
yes.
Like they've never really wavered. Like they've been a band for 25 plus years,
Yeah.
and it is still the same level, the same.
Well, they're skilled musicians. They're
Yeah, that's
talented.
what I meant to say.
Yeah.
So there you go, David Grohl, our person of the year.
Yeah.
Now, we can get a little personal on this.
Yeah. Time.
These are because we want to give some of the people that we have interacted with, people that we know, our friends who do some magnificent things. I mean, we're here doing a podcast. They do other things like be in a band or
and
whatnot.
But if it weren't for the things that they do, we would have less to.
Yeah, we'd have less to talk about. You just listen to us talk to each other constantly. And how much fun is that? So we did manage near the end of the year to take in a couple of live shows. One, we had our own live show.
Woo!
And we'd like to give, of course, a shout out to Cynical Sons and Feed After Midnight and Rockin' Engine and In Heat and Atoms to Ashes and Rebel 101 for jumping in there and helping us too, and to put on a fantastic show and help us raise $2,500 for our mental health charity. Oh, and over the year, add that on to the $1,200 we raised back in May. And as a podcast, if we're looking back at 2021, we raised $3,700 for local mental health charities. So I'm going to give myself a little
I think we deserve
pat on the back for that. And I mean, we ran the fundraisers, but it was all of you who donated. So really, you should be giving yourselves the pat on the backs as well. You guys are absolutely fantastic. And not only do you listen to us rant and ramble and fucking whatever on a weekly basis, but when we do something like a charity, a fundraiser drive, or whatever, you guys are all in there doing what you do. So thank you for making our 2021 absolutely amazing in that aspects. Shit like that. Again, I'll point at this again. Look for an update on that in the new year as we're running another fundraiser of sorts for another great cause. We'll give you all the details after that. But going back to 2021, it was just an amazing experience for us to have our tiny little podcast that has enough of a fan base that people got involved, and we managed to raise money for charities and do some really special things. And so that's fantastic. So we'd like to thank you all for that.
Thank you.
And it also allowed us to do some things, like as you said, because we met these bands. We got to go see them in concerts and shit like that. So big shout out, one, to our friends at Rebel 101.
Definitely.
As our live performance of the year was a concert that we got invited to.
It was.
By the good folk at Rebel 101, because they were putting on the show for their 5th anniversary, their birthday celebration. And so we were giving our performance of the year to JJ Wild, featuring Taming Sari and Double Experience.
Yes. Every single one of those bands was an incredible performance. You had seen Taming Sari before. I had not. So I was super excited and blown away by their performance. Neither of us had gotten a chance to see Double Experience before, and we had been hearing about them as part of the local scene for quite some time. They're fantastic folks. Go watch them.
Yeah.
And JJ Wild was super impressive, just much more raw.
I like JJ Wild. Her songs on the radio are fantastic.
Yeah, of course.
But her in person, live on stage, there is so much more. And not in a, like, it's not like her recorded versions are bad. That's not what I'm saying. But her live versions of the same songs that I heard on the radio come with so much more energy. As you said, they're so much more raw, so much more powerful. I wasn't expecting such a rock show out of JJ Wild, and she brought one of the best rock shows.
And she did it wearing a business suit.
Yeah, she did it in business casual. But yeah, Taming Sari, I have now seen like 5 or 6 times this year since, like, and again, this is why I said that I didn't think that this year existed before September, because it was since September that I saw them at Mavericks, and then I saw them at the Brass Monkey, and then we saw them at the Bronson Center, and I was part of a video that they shot. Just so they, of course, have smashed it every single time. I saw them at the Rebel 101 Halloween show with Civilian, who was also fantastic. Yeah, just a fantastic show. JJ Wild, Taming Sari, Double Experience. Check them all out. Download them, stream them on Spotify. Give them all of your likes and your follows and your streams. Let's get all these people
bump them up.
Bump them up. Do what you do. Again, you mentioned it. I didn't. I was very surprised. Not surprised, but I didn't know what to expect from Double Experience, other than we've heard other bands talk about them in the local scene and stuff like that. And they were different in a good way than Tammy, Sari, and Jay. Is every band brought a completely different style and presence to the
A little bit.
stage, and it was so great to see.
Yeah.
I mean, you got Tammy, Sari with kind of their southern
Yeah.
kind
Southern
of
rock. Yeah.
southern alternative rock, and then Double Experience was just high energy, sing along, kind of like bop around, jump around kind of music, and then you had
Mhm.
JJ Wild who just killed it in the end. Oh, so that's our live performance of the year. Now, again, we want to showcase the people that we know and the people that we love and the bands and everything. So, when thinking about giving away awards, we of course wanted to try and include as many people as we could. And this is our podcast, so we can do what the fuck we want. So we made up an award for a band who has done nothing but make that managed to do everything possible to get themselves out into people's eyes and ears and minds in 2021, whether it being virtual shows or watch parties or just general conversations or creating an
Creating
entire
community.
a family,
Yeah.
as they would like to call it, and getting
Yes.
everybody involved where we can talk with them or with each other, and they give us updates on what's coming up. They had their fans in one of their music videos. Everything that they do, of
And
course, they
then
put.
they used that community that they created to actually help other indie bands. Like, so they do nothing but pay
Oh
it
yeah,
forward.
let's talk about that right now. Is
Yeah.
once I here our indie influencers of the year
Yeah.
goes to Adam's Ashes.
Yeah. No,
Because
hands down.
everything that they have done this year
Yeah.
has literally, like, there hasn't been another. Well, I mean, they've all been spectacular. All the bands that we've met through 2021, like, we're not taking anything away from anybody else, but just some of the initiative that Adam's Ashes took with their Blackburn album release, and how that they managed to get it out there, to creating an entire, like, online family where we
Mhm.
can talk to each other and them about music and everything else, to their most recent thing where they created an indie Secret Santa, where they got all of their fans and followers to buy merch and to follow and to stream and to a local indie artist from around the area. So giving more notice to a bunch of the other indie bands. So it's not just, as you said, it's not just them doing it for themselves. They're actually putting, like,
They're lifting other people up, which is
yeah,
exactly the kind of shit you're supposed to do. As you rise, bring other people with you. Like, that is exactly it. They're incredibly admirable people. So very much thanks to Chris and Sean in particular. And of course, they've had a drummer change recently. So I'm sure that their new drummer is going to be, part of this whole new family, and, part of that whole promotion. They're really great guys. And I'm really looking forward to whatever they're coming up with. Because of course now the whole Blackburn era, which was their most
is
recent EP, is done. And so now it's going to be new stuff. And I
new
am
stuff.
super excited.
Very excited, but I mean, these guys did everything right
They did.
in the midst of a pandemic to create a following, get their stuff out there.
Yeah.
So we gave them our indie influencers of the year because, like us, we understand the need for social media and the activities on it to get our stuff heard and people listening to us and watching us. And it's a huge part of the world now, especially if, like you said, you're an indie band or an indie podcast or whatever, to get your stuff out there.
Yeah.
Whether we're living in a normal world where it's still going to be helpful, because you're going to need it to get people to know that you're playing venues and stuff. And it just happened that in 2021 the world was basically closed, and they needed to find a way to continue to interact with their fans, continue to get their music heard, continue to play, whether it be virtually or whatever, and do, like, the Hudson Porch Fest. And then, of course, for the people who couldn't show up, record the entire thing and throw it on their social medias so that people could still partake. They ran their own fundraisers this year, and they were fantastic with that. And they've helped us with ours. We've helped them with theirs. And they're just fantastic folk. And they just do it all. They just did it all right this year.
They did. So
So
awesome.
there's our
Awesome.
indie influencers of the year.
For
We have
sure.
one more award to give away, and we're staying close to our heart, close to our chest, close to our city, because this is our local legends of the year award, and we are giving this to the happy shiny folk of Taming Sari.
Yeah.
Because I mean, has like with local bands, they've just personally, I'm gonna look at it as the fact that I've seen them like 6 times in the past couple of months. The moment that they were allowed to hit the ground running, they hit the ground running. They were doing shows on a weekly basis. As I said, I showed up and watched them film their music video for Crazy, which is a fantastic experience. They've headlined shows. They've opened, as we said, for people like JJ Watt and had invites from Rebel to play their Halloween show and their fucking 5th anniversary show. So as much as we met a ton of bands this year, currently I think Crazy is I forgot to look it up, is like in the top 100 Canadian alternative something. Like they're heading up charts. They're just absolutely killing it this year. And
go find them on Spotify, listen to their stuff. It's awesome. They oh my god,
such great people, such great musicians, such a great band, such great like amazing sound. So right here from hometown Ottawa and Taming Sari for everything that they've done over the last year, and especially in the last couple of months, where, like I said, the moment the doors opened a little bit with the pandemic, they fucking shot right through them. Headlined a couple of shows, opened up a couple of more. I think they've like played like 24 or so shows in like just the past couple of months. They're just all over the place, making videos, playing live shows, putting out amazing music.
Yeah, absolutely awesome guys.
Now, speaking of them, and speaking of said video, and speaking of all of the things that we were speaking of, where am I going with this?
I think you have something special to play.
I do. If anybody wants to, like, we still have our goodbyes to do. We're going to tidy this up in the next little while. But before we do that, how about everybody enjoy Crazy from Taming Sari?
Awesome.
Smoking Johnny Stack.
co-star.
You have not.
There she is. So, of course, that was Crazy from Taming Sari.
Which is
Their new hit that is just skyrocketing up the charts here in
mhm,
Canada. It's making big waves everywhere. If you follow them on social media, you'll see that radio stations fucking
picking it up.
all over are fucking playing it, shit like that. So another band. Well, I was gonna
And
say another
the
band, but
more this was something that I think is important to know if you don't know it. The more that you stream a song, the the higher those numbers, the more that radio station managers notice those bands. So if you like an indie band, listen to them as much as possible on things like Spotify because those numbers get paid attention to. So if you like Adams to Ashes, if you like Resist the Throne, all of these folks, Taming Sari, please go and listen to them on Spotify and give them that kind of boost so that they get noticed by the radio stations in general because that is what is going to give them the leg up in the entertainment industry. And we want to help them as much as we can.
yeah, because we want to do this again in 2022,
Uh-huh.
and we want to talk about all these bands again, and hopefully they are skyrocketing to the
And
top.
we want them to be superstars because we love them.
Now, if any of the bands are listening and you do become superstars, we still have a little podcast that we'd
Yeah,
like you
we
to
still love
come
you.
on to once in a while, you know, because where are we going to be without you?
Do you have a banner for Taming Sari, by the way? Because yeah, we left up the Adams to Ashes bear.
Oh,
Yeah.
shit, right. My local legends of the year so everybody could
Oh.
see.
I mean,
Badoo!
Tyler worked very hard on making these banners, so I don't want him to miss out on being able to. So yes, local legends.
And I worked very hard on making these fucking puppies. Oh, that
Yes.
golden flying fuck. Oh, it's over here. Year in Review Awards. So, yeah, I think that's it.
I think that's everything.
I mean, we're looking forward to 2022. We're going to bring some new shit. Of course, let me show. Ah! We, of course, are going to be running our Sweet
And
Relief
thank
fundraiser.
you. Someone has already purchased one. And I am guessing it is somebody here that has been watching the show tonight. So thank you very much. I just
shit.
got the notification. So I don't know who because it doesn't tell me that, but I do know that one got sold. And also
Whoever that was, thank you very much.
which is awesome. So yes, thank you very deeply. I mean, we continue to do this because we get the support that we do, and of course we love doing this. But we wouldn't continue if we didn't. But we are looking forward to the new things that 2022 will bring. Hopefully, things will get a little bit better as far as restrictions are concerned, and we can get back to live shows. Of course, one of the shows that we were planning on seeing right at the beginning of January got canceled,
Right.
or postponed. I shouldn't say canceled.
That was the Late Night Trouble show.
Late Night Trouble, exactly.
Speaking of Late Night Trouble, of course, if we haven't mentioned them in all of our talks yet, another band that you should fucking go check out. They are a rock band and
female fronted rock band. Friggin' awesome. Yeah, they're just not a lot of that kind of stuff out there, and they are well worth a listen. But yeah, so we're going to be missing out on that. But hopefully, over this next year, we're going to be starting to see more of those things coming back. Cross fingers, all of that kind of stuff. But of course, there will be movies and there will be shows, and we will be chatting. And we have got some more specials planned for coming up this year. So because we kind of missed out on doing a lot of that last year, and we want to include some more.
Yeah, we want to get back into our specials. That's where we have, I think, not that we don't enjoy all of this, but I think that's where we have our more fun discussions because it's just more personal to us. It's not rhyming off what movie's playing this week and stuff like that. It's taking the time and doing the research. And like we had a blast when we did our recast of Heat because you got to pick actors and actresses that you want to see fill those roles. And then you get to talk about the reasons why. And it gets a little bit more personal. So we're hoping to get a bunch more specials in. Of course, one of the big announcements is the fact that we might be switching over to Twitch. So you might be able to see our beautiful faces instead of just hearing our sexy ass voices. We, of course, will be taking the audio from the Twitch recordings and still putting them out as a traditional podcast, as we don't want to leave our listeners and stuff out of all the fun. So if you're not going to watch us on Twitch, you can still listen to us as a podcast. coming up, and because over the last couple of months, we've of course ran into some new people, but we haven't had a chance to have them on the podcast and stuff like
No,
that
we have a
because of
whole
timing, and it's the end of the year and we're going on hiatus. But just at the end of this year, we managed to see Sunday Riot Club,
Mhm.
uh, Neon Ghost House, and Superfluous or
Yeah,
Superfluous, depending on who you want to talk to, uh, at Cafe de Cuff, and it was an amazing show.
it
And we're
was.
hoping to have all of these bands on for interviews and get all of
And
their
we still
stuff
have to get
pushed.
we're still gonna be doing interviews with the bands that were amazing to participate in the charity benefit that we put on with Cynical Sun. So we
Right.
have Rock and Engine and Feed After Midnight and In Heat all to talk to as well. So we will definitely be doing another Merry Month of Music next year, and you'll get to a whole new round of bands to explore. So we are super excited about that.
Yeah, and we already have a doc started for everything that we're looking to do in 2022, and we got some exciting things coming up. A lot of it having to do with having anniversaries and stuff coming up in 2022, which we've already got planned. So,
Yeah.
sorry.
For instance, of course, we're going to be starting off our season with a special that has a different application of the letter V. We're
If
not
anybody who has listened to our podcast for the past 2 years,
yeah.
you know we always start our podcast in February, kind of timed up with Valentine's Day,
Yeah.
but we do it a little differently.
Yeah.
We don't give you the traditional rom-coms and romantic films to watch. The first year we did it, it was kind of the unconventional ones like Scott Pilgrim and oh fuck, there was a bunch of them.
Oh, there were so many. Yeah.
So many. But anyway, this year, we'll give you a little sneak peek as to what we have planned in the new year by giving you one of our first things. February 11th happens to be the 100th anniversary of Nosferatu. So this year, V stands for vampires. And we are going to talk about all of the vampire movies that you could, of course, watch on Valentine's Day with your significant other or whoever. And maybe we'll try and stick it to the romantic aspect of vampires. Or maybe we'll just blood and guts vampires.
I
We
mean,
don't know. But we do know that in honor of Valentine's Day and the letter V and the 100th anniversary of Nosferatu, we're going to start the year off with V stands for vampires
yeah.
as our Valentine's Day start off, kickoff, first episode of season 3. So there you go. There's a little sneak peek into how we're going to start the year. And of course, we're going to run on from all that. And we hope to see you all there or hear you all there or of course, over the next little while. This is technically our last go about this.
Yeah.
So thank you for everybody who tuned in. We won't be back until mid-February. Of course, our social medias will still be rocking. We'll still do our part and all of that. But I have some shit to learn because if we're going to switch over to Twitch, I need to know how to Twitch, I guess. And we have some shit to do. And fucking, I mean, I am twitchy in general, but I think this is something different. But yeah, so we had a fantastic 2021. We thank you all for partaking in it. We gave out some fantastic awards to some fucking very deserving people. And we hope to do it all again at the end of 2022 with another fantastic year behind us. So
thank you to everyone who has been supporting us all this time. We really appreciate it. And Michelle commented that that she's a big fan of vampire movies and specifically mentioned Twilight.
Twilight will not be mentioned in our episode because fuck Twilight.
I was going to say, maybe I will finally watch it just to, be able to have a reasonable thing to say about it.
I still stand by my convictions. Fuck Twilight.
I understand.
But she might bring it up.
Nonetheless, thank you everyone, and we hope that your 2022 is amazing, and we will do whatever we can to help make it a little better here along the way.
Bye.